What if knowledge was never lost? How different would our future look? Where history meets possibility, this is the Nuellverse.
Hey, you ever stop and think where ideas like free speech or democracy actually come from? Like, they feel like they've just always been there, right? A given? Plot twist. That entire luxury of thought, our entire way of life, was almost knocked out cold on a tiny beach 2,500 years ago. Tonight on the Nuellverse, we're not just talking about an ancient battle. We're gonna break down how this one single event shaped the way all of us think. Even today, it's a big deal. Imagine a single battle deciding the fate of the world. A clash where democracy itself hung by a thread and almost didn't survive. What if in 490 BC, Persia had crushed Greece at Marathon? Would freedom, philosophy, and even modern science ever exist? September 490 BC, on the dusty plain of Marathon, two worlds collided. On one side, the mighty Persian Empire, vast, unstoppable, the superpower of its age. On the other, a fragile coalition of Greek city-states, led by Athens, young and untested. Against all odds, the Greeks won, and history changed forever. But what if they hadn't? What if Persia crushed Greece at Marathon? How different would our world look today? To grasp the stakes, we must first understand who these two worlds were. Persia, under King Darius the Great, was colossal. From India to Egypt, it ruled over 40% of humanity. Its roads connected cities, its satraps governed efficiently, and its wealth seemed endless. Persia was not chaos. It was order, stability, and empire. Greece, in contrast, was fractured. Athens, Sparta, Thebes, Corinth, forever at odds. Yet in Athens, something new was stirring. Citizens debated, voted, and even questioned their leaders. Here, for the first time, was democracy in its infancy. So when Persia launched its invasion of Greece, it wasn't just about territory. It was empire against freedom, absolute power against the radical idea that ordinary people could rule themselves. In reality, the battle was a miracle. The Persians landed at Marathon, twice as many as the Athenians. Logic dictated victory for Persia, but the Greeks did the unthinkable. Instead of waiting, they charged. Hoplite shields slammed forward, spears pierced, and the lines of Persia broke. Persia retreated to their ships. Athens was saved. And the world glimpsed the power of free citizens fighting for their own destiny. That victory became the seed of something far greater, a chain of events leading to Salamis, Plataea, and ultimately the flourishing of Greek civilization. But reverse the outcome. Imagine Persia winning at Marathon. Athens, unprotected, falls. And the story of our world changes forever. Picture it. The Athenian charge fails. Persian cavalry sweeps in. The Greek lines collapse. Panic spreads. Soldiers scatter. Within hours, the proud city of Athens is defenseless. Persian banners rise over its walls. Its fleet captured in port, its democracy extinguished before it could grow. Athens becomes just another satrapy, a province of the empire, a puppet ruler installed, loyal only to Persia. The voice of the people silenced. The experiment of democracy dies at birth. In the short term, the results are brutal. Athens is gone. Sparta, isolated, stands alone. Without Athens' navy, Sparta cannot resist Persia for long. One by one, Greek cities fall under imperial rule. The Aegean Sea becomes a Persian lake. Trade routes, ports, and islands all fly the banner of the Great King. And across the Mediterranean, the message is clear. Defiance is hopeless. The empire cannot be challenged, but the deeper shockwaves echo through centuries. Without Athens' survival, there is no Socrates questioning truth, no Plato building his academy, no Aristotle teaching a young Alexander. The great chain of philosophy that shaped Western thought is severed. No Parthenon rises above Athens, no tragedies of Sophocles, no histories of Herodotus. Greek creativity is drowned under Persian uniformity. And when Rome rises centuries later, what do they inherit? Not democracy, not republican ideals, but the Persian model, centralized monarchy, bureaucracy, and obedience. The very DNA of Western civilization is rewritten. Law, government, and science would grow not from debate and dissent, but from empire and hierarchy. Now, imagine our world without Greece's legacy. No rediscovery of Greek texts in the Renaissance. No burst of humanist art and scientific revolution. The Enlightenment? Perhaps it never comes. Without Greek ideas, there is no spark for revolutions in America and France. The words democracy, philosophy, citizenship, all born in Greece, might never exist. Instead, humanity might live under eternal empire, advanced, perhaps prosperous. But without freedom, science might still progress, yes, but guided by the needs of rulers, not the curiosity of free minds. The balance of power, forever tilted toward kings, never toward the people. The Battle of Marathon was not just a clash of soldiers. It was a clash of ideas. Empire versus freedom. Submission versus self-rule. By some miracle, the smaller side won. And from that unlikely victory, much of what we call Western civilization was born. But if Persia had triumphed, our world might still be advanced, but it would be unrecognizable. No democracy, no Renaissance, no Enlightenment, no belief that ordinary people could shape their destiny. So, in the Nuellverse timeline, the flame of democracy was snuffed out before it ever really burned bright. Our world became a totally different place, but from that dark, alternate reality, we can pull 3 bright-as-day lessons. 1. Cool ideas have a high price tag. Democracy and freedom aren't the default setting, man. They're a privilege that has to be protected constantly. History shows that the moment you take them for granted, they can vanish. 2. Sometimes you need an enemy to level up. The Greek cities, left to themselves, loved fighting each other, but the massive threat of Persia forced them to get their act together and unite. Sometimes, the biggest problem in your life is actually a blessing in disguise. The very thing that forces you to become stronger. 3. The underdog wins if their why is strong enough. The Greeks in our world won because they weren't just fighting for land. They were fighting for a value for their entire way of life. It just goes to show that your motivation, your why, is often way more powerful than sheer force. History turned on the dusty plain of Marathon. One battle, one outcome, and the fate of the world. This is the Nuellverse, where history meets possibility. If you enjoyed exploring this alternate timeline, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the worlds that could have been. Because here, we don't just tell history, we ask, what if?